been a while since I've reviewed a pack for you folks, and this is a pack that's actually been out for some period of time, and I just recently got it in because they had an incredible sale, actually. So this is the Evergoods Civic panel loader. This is the 24 liter, and it's in gray, standard gray as they call it. The original version of this came out in black, and but that one wasn't on sale. This one is, and so I decided, why the heck not? I'm going to take advantage of the wonderful sale and go ahead and purchase it and see what it's all about. So let me show you around the pack, and then I'll show you how well it works for me, and perhaps that will go some way towards helping you determine whether or not this is the right pack for you. All right, so let's just take a look at the outside of this pack. It's the actual material is pretty slick. I thought it would actually have a little bit more of a matte finish to it, but it does have a little bit of a shine to it. It's a pretty stout material, and it's built with really beefy YKK zippers here, and these look like these are number 10, so they're not going to fail you. They'll be just as strong, and if not stronger, than the fabric itself. And it's a good looking pack. I mean, as you can see here, it has a nice sort of simple look to it, which allows it to be a great crossover pack in terms of being usable for business if you need to wear a suit with it, but also be able to carry this thing on the weekends and not have it look too severe. The neat thing about it is it does sort of have, when you hold it on the side like this, it has a little bit of a briefcase look to it. And in fact, there's a stiffener across here where the handle is to keep it from collapsing when you're holding it like a briefcase. So it's a nice thing, although there's no way to tuck away the shoulder straps when you do it that way, so that would have been nice if there was the ability to sort of hide these away and really make it look like it was a briefcase if you wanted to. Alright, so let's continue looking around this pack. It's actually a little bit smaller than I anticipated. It's funny, the way that pack manufacturers, they don't seem to have any sort of rhyme or reason for how they measure packs. They do call this a 24 liter, and there's no doubt it feels smaller than the typical 28 liter pack that I'm typically more enamored of. Which, you know, it's not their fault that it's 24, they're not falsely advertising that. But it does feel a little bit small for my use. I tend to carry a lot of stuff with me on a daily basis. So it does have a handle on the side. It does not have a handle on this side of it. It has a handle on the top, no handle on the bottom. On the front, it has a single pocket, and you should know that the extent of the pocket isn't the entire front area. It sort of gives you the sense that it's the entire front, but I'm going to tell you that so I'm sort of scribing it right here. You can see that the opening is the width of the zipper here, and it doesn't go down into this area or up into this area here. And nor does it go into this side area. It does actually go pretty far down to this edge of the pack itself. And then inside is a nice red key clip, although again, I never use these things, so they don't really serve much use for me. And as you can see here, it's just a single open pocket, no organization in here. I would love to have had more organization, maybe a couple slip pockets for pens, maybe a slot for my wallet, another slot for my cell phone, or maybe even a slot for a fuzzy pocket, say for a pair of sunglasses. But instead it's just an open pocket here, which is okay because you can fit lots of stuff in it, but it's just not great for organizing things. So if you're using this for business, you're going to have to find a different place to put all the little things that will fall all over the place if you don't have a special pocket for them. Okay, there is no water bottle pocket on the outside, so the expectation is that you would be able to put the water bottle in the interior. And of course, this was a design decision by the Evergoods folks because they wanted to make it look professional and not have things sticking off the sides. So you might actually like that even though it lacks the utility of having a water bottle pocket on the outside, it does make it look a little bit slicker to not have that water bottle pocket. Okay, so let's flip this over and take a look at the suspension system here. You can see that what's interesting about this is that most packs these days usually have a mesh back and then also mesh that is touching your shoulders on the shoulder straps. And instead they just continue with the same fabric. My guess is that this would be pretty sweaty actually if you're using this in the middle of the summer, or if you're jogging across campus because you're late to class or something like that. So I think it's a funny design, although it does make it look cleaner to not have mesh there. I think that the utility of mesh probably outweighs the benefit of the mesh making it cooler outweighs the look, the aesthetic of this, because it's still, I mean, it looks like a backpack. It has straps. So anyway, the straps themselves made up of high density foam. They have sort of a hard edge to them, but it's not, I mean, it's comfortable for sure. Most of the time these days, bag manufacturers know how to make shoulder straps comfortable. So there's nothing here that is either spectacular, nor is there anything that I look at and think, oh, points should be taken off for this design. It does have a sternum strap that is removable, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different positions where you could place the sternum strap. It is adjustable, easily adjustable with a ladder lock here and a quick release plastic. And then obviously you can see here that we have more of these ladder locks to adjust the length depending on how big you are. Nothing to wrap up these straps and keep them out of the way, so you're going to have dangly straps both with the shoulder strap adjustments as well as the sternum strap adjustments. You'll notice here that there are these pockets at the top, and this is kind of cool because this is the tunnel through which the hose for a water reservoir would be fed, so that it would be able to come out and still keep this relatively water resistant, this whole pack water resistant. So this is a neat idea. The other piece that they point out if you watch their video, and if you're looking at this pack, there's no doubt you've looked at their videos online, which are incredibly detailed and thorough. So they really tell you a lot about the packs. But you'll see how it's cut in such a way that even though the back that's against you curves slightly, the area where your laptop's going to go stays nice and flat. So it doesn't fight against the laptop in terms of stiffness. This conforms to your body a lot more. Okay, so in terms of the exterior, there are some tabs here that make it easier for you to unzip and rezip. There are little places, the sort of garages, I guess you would call them, for the zippers. The zipper pulls themselves are wrapped in webbing, and they're nice and quiet, so you're not going to hear them jingling against anything. It's nice, and that's a good thing because that sort of drives me crazy. The bottom of the pack is made up of the same material as elsewhere. It is a little bit flat on the bottom, so it seems like it should be able to stand up on its own, but because it's such a small pack in terms of its depth, it really doesn't stand on its own. Particularly if you can imagine it's going to be filled with a laptop, it's probably going to fall one way or the other. That's kind of a disappointment, but that frankly is the case with so many packs. It's a rarity to find a pack that would stand on its own. Let's take a look at the inside of this pack by first focusing on the laptop compartment. And this actually does have a dual purpose. You can barely see it. Maybe you can see it in my, let's see it, well, not really. You'll have to believe me that there's a little tab up here to hang a water reservoir. So this is where you'd put the water reservoir if you were using this on a hike and you didn't want to bring a water bottle. And again, like I said, there is a tunnel that is continuous that allows you to exit the tube and the where you suck on the hose out through either of the sides of the shoulder straps. There's also a zipper to allow you to replace the board. You can actually replace it with a stiffer board to give this if you're carrying heavier loads. This one's pretty good, and the good thing is having a board like that does allow this thing to maintain its shape, and I think that's really an important thing for a pack, especially if you're carrying heavier loads. It actually makes loads feel much lighter when they are when you have a suspension system that creates some stiffness against your back. Okay, so there's nothing else in there. It's just a nice big pocket, and it would easily hold a 15-inch computer, MacBook Pro. And like I said before, you can see there's a nice handle here for you to grab onto when it's sort of, you're carrying it like a briefcase. There's another sort of area here where you can hook something if you want to, and then there's this handle up top. And if I unzip to get us into the main compartment, it does open clamshell style, like so. And let me just shift this into the middle here. You can see here at the top that there's a place where you could, it has its own volume because it's not sharing it with the front pocket. So it has its own volume, which allows it to bulge outward instead of inward to the pack. So you could easily put a pair of sunglasses here. I think of this sort of like a quick grab pocket, although it's not so quick if you have to undo both the main compartment zipper as well as the zipper in here. I would love for this to have been if the zipper was on the outside, maybe a waterproof zipper on the outside would be preferable. And then you can see here I have a mesh pocket. It's a good sized mesh pocket. And again, this would probably compete for volume with anything that you'd have in this pocket on the outside. But, you know, this is actually, there's some depth to this cover here, so it wouldn't be too bad. Again, this is just an open generic pocket, so if you're looking for organization, you're not getting a whole lot of it in this space. It's, you know, if you put in pens and pencils in your wallet, no real organization. It's all going to fall to the bottom when you put on the backpack. And then we move into this area, the main compartment here. What's interesting about this pack is that on the side where you have the handle, which is up in this area, I would say that from the edge of the pack to the start of the zipper, it's probably about, what, I'd say 4 inches there. If you do the same thing over here, what's odd is that there is, because you want it, just behind us is the laptop compartment. And there is padding on the bottom of the laptop compartment so that if you were to use this as a briefcase and you put the bag down this way, your laptop wouldn't bottom out and hit against the ground, which is a good design. But what it essentially does is it creates less depth here for holding things as there is depth over here because of that piece of hard foam that will protect the laptop in case it makes an impact with the ground. Not a big deal, but it's something that I think you should know exists in this pack. And then there's this pocket here, which is a nice pocket. It has little openings in the end to let lint and dirt out. This is a good place for me to put file folders, notebooks. I actually need to put I often put my iPad Pro in here. And, you know, again, it's not a huge pack, but it holds most of the stuff that I need to have on a day-to-day basis. That is it for this pack. It really doesn't have that much in the way of lots of little pockets and everything. It's a simpler design ethic that goes on here. Overall, that's what the look is as well. It's a simpler look. It's certainly well made. I think this thing would last forever. I just don't think it's quite the pack for me. I'm going to show you when I start to pack it up how it becomes a little bit limited in terms of what I normally need to carry with me. So let me go ahead and show you how I pack it up. I'll do that obviously in high speed, and then I'll unpack it to show you what stuff is in my bag. Okay, so there it is all packed up, and you can see that I have it on my back right now. Get a sense, I'm 6 feet tall, so you can get a sense of how this fits on me. And it is pretty comfortable. There's no way, it doesn't dig in any sort of way. The back of it, it does feel a little bit like this back edge is digging into my lower back a wee bit, and so that might get uncomfortable if I'm hiking. It's rubbing against that one spot there. But it's not terrible. I mean, I'd have to really take this thing on a long hike to get a sense of how it's going to feel for the long haul. It carries the load nicely, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's got a very stiff frame sheet, which really lets things hang off the pack in a very nice way. And the shoulder straps, I think I just mentioned, the shoulder straps are pretty comfortable as well. So let's take a look and see how I packed this up. You can see I have my keys attached here to one of the extra loops, the sternum strap loops. I could have put it in any of the positions. It doesn't really make too much of a difference, but it's easy enough for me to get access to my keys and to my key card. And then these handles are actually super handy. One of the things that I do want to point out that's missing is this handle is nice in that it's sort of midway, in a sense. It's midway between the back of the bag and the front of the bag. And that's nice in terms of being able to balance the bag. But the unfortunate thing is this often happens for me. I need to hang my bag up when I get to the office, and there's no hook that's close to the back of the bag that would allow me to hook this to a coat hook. And unless you have a coat hook that sticks way out from the wall, it's going to be very difficult for it to attach to this. It is one of those things where, again, I don't blame them for this. It's advertised as a 24-liter bag, and it certainly feels like that because I fill it so quickly with my stuff. So let's take a look and see where I have my stuff right now. In the front, sort of the quick access pocket, I have my wallet. I keep my cell phone in there as well, and I have my earbuds. A little bit dangerous, right? Because if you have your cell phone in there, it's going to bang against things, and I don't love that. I'd rather this be in its own separate pocket somewhere in the interior of the bag or quick access. It would be nice if there was a pocket in there for it specifically. So that's all I keep in the front there. And then, might as well flip over to the side here, pull out my laptop. This is a 13-inch MacBook Pro, fits in easily into this area. Of course, like I said, it has no problem fitting a 15-inch MacBook Pro or even bigger. And then into the main compartment. This is where it gets tricky because there's so little internal organization that everything basically has to, as you can see, just sort of be tossed in here. So I have my battery backup here, business receipts, file folders. I have to keep my iPad here, although I could put it in with my laptop. I don't love the idea of having two heavyweight things banging against each other, so I'd like to separate them in that way. My cards and my name tag. And then I have in here this pocket. It's a great pocket in how big it is, but since there's no place for me to put my Apple Pencil and my other pen, I have to just toss it in there, which becomes a pain when I go to look for these things because I have to dig in here. All the stuff is fallen and intermingled, which makes it difficult to access things, or find things, I should say. Then I have a bag of dongles here, cords and other dongles, tissues. It's winter after all. It's going to be cold season soon. And then in this pocket up here, I have my sunglasses, and I have things like medication, all these whatever things, you know, gum, floss, Dramamine, because I so easily get car sick. All right, so those things that I always need. And there you have it. So it fits all the stuff that I typically carry with me. Just not a lot of extra room. There's no way I could very easily put in well, maybe I could put in a jacket if I'm careful about rolling it up and putting it in there. But, you know, if I could just have another... the one thing I haven't put in here is my water bottle. And so I would have had to stick that in there with my iPad Pro. Not really keen on that. I mean, yes, it's a Hydro Flask. It shouldn't leak, but it's also hard. And so I don't love the fact that I have a Hydro Flask banging against my iPad and other stuff that's in there. So for me, the utility of having a water bottle pocket really is so much more important than the aesthetics. After all, it's carrying a backpack. It doesn't look that great. It's still a backpack. So there you have it. You know, I'm not sure if this is really a keeper for me. I mean, I am going to keep it. I bought it. But I'm not sure if it's going to be one of my favorite packs that I use. But it certainly is well built, and it's going to last forever. And there are some thoughtful designs with this thing. Perhaps the next generation, they will take into account some of the issues that I've had with the pack. All right, there you go. Hope this helped you to make a decision about the Evergoods CPL 24. Bye.